Welcome to our podcast series on America's westward expansion. Today, we'll be discussing one of the most significant events in American history, the settlement of the Great Plains and the conflict between settlers, ranchers, and Native American tribes. As the United States expanded its territory, thousands of settlers flocked to the Great Plains, seeking land, opportunity, and a new beginning. The Homestead Act of 1862, which provided 160 acres of land to settlers for free, played a significant role in attracting people to the region. However, this led to conflicts with Native American tribes, who had lived on the land for centuries. One notable example of the conflict between settlers and Native Americans is the story of the Sioux tribe, who resisted the encroachment of settlers on their land. The Sioux, led by chiefs such as Red Cloud and Crazy Horse, fought bravely against the U.S. Army, but ultimately were forced to cede their land and relocate to reservations. As settlers established themselves on the Great Plains, they began to develop a new economy based on agriculture and ranching. The construction of railroads and the introduction of barbed wire enabled farmers and ranchers to expand their operations, leading to the growth of cities such as Omaha, Nebraska, and Kansas City, Missouri to Dato. However, the expansion of ranching also led to conflicts between ranchers and settlers. Ranchers, who had established large cattle operations, often clashed with settlers, who were seeking to establish farms and homesteads. The conflict between these two groups was exemplified by the Johnson County War in Wyoming, which pitted large ranchers against smaller settlers. The expansion of agriculture on the Great Plains also led to the development of new technologies and innovations. The introduction of the steel plow, for example, enabled farmers to break through the tough sod of the prairies and cultivate the land more efficiently. The development of irrigation systems also allowed farmers to bring water to their crops, making it possible to farm in areas that were previously too dry. As the Great Plains were settled, the U.S. government established a series of laws and regulations to govern the use of the land. The General Mining Act of 1872, for example, allowed miners to stake claims on public land and extract minerals such as gold, silver, and copper. The Timber and Stone Act of 1878 also enabled settlers to cut timber and extract stone from public land. Despite these developments, the settlement of the Great Plains was not without its challenges. Droughts, blizzards, and other natural disasters often threatened the livelihoods of settlers, who had to be resourceful and resilient in order to survive. The construction of the Transcontinental Railroad also brought new diseases, such as cholera and smallpox, which decimated Native American populations. One notable example of the challenges faced by settlers is the story of the Donner Party, a group of settlers who became stranded in the Sierra Nevada mountains during the winter of 1846–47. The party, which consisted of 87 people, was forced to endure extreme cold, hunger, and hardship, resulting in the deaths of over half of its members. In conclusion, the settlement of the Great Plains was a complex and multifaceted process that involved the interaction of settlers, ranchers, Native American tribes, and the U.S. government. From the conflicts between these groups to the development of new technologies and innovations, the story of the Great Plains is one of resilience, determination, and transformation. That's all for today. Join us next time on History with Herodotus as we continue our series on America's westward expansion with Episode 6, Native American Nations and Conflict.